Alright guys, this is a long playing review for Shadow Dancer, the sequel to Shinobi, on the Amstrad CPC. And of course, this was the first sequel in the arcades to Shinobi, a classic arcade game we've already had a look at, and its conversion to the Amstrad. And this was another like one-player arcade machine like Shinobi, no two players, and it's pretty much pretty similar to Shinobi in many regards. There's not many new features apart from the addition of a pet dog that follows you about and attacks enemies. Very nice loading screen there indeed, and we come to a very sort of basic title screen with a simple bit of music that basically just repeats over and over. Just setting our controls there. I love the original Shinobi to bits, and I love the Amstrad version. I rated that very, very highly at the time. When I did my review, got a few months ago now. And now's the time for Shadow Dancer. Now, I didn't actually buy this game first time round, completely slipped me by. I think the Amstrad version was released in 1991 from US Gold. As you can see, shortly, they've done a pretty decent job of it. Now we've got really lovely colourful graphics and some really great looking sprites. And everything's moving really nice and smoothly. But I guess the first thing you really notice really is the the lack of music and very basic sound effects. There's basically about 2 different sound effects in the entire game: when you bounce off enemies and when you shoot them with your Death Stars or Shurikens. The dog does prove really useful. You can send him out to attack enemies, and you'll basically hold on to them like there. And what you need to do is pick up these globes, as they're called in game for some strange reason. They're actually bombs, which you're defusing, and you've got to get a set number of them per level. Don't know why bombs was changed to globes. Maybe they were, I don't know, worried about terrorists at the time or something when this game was released. I don't remember. Anyway, so basically defuse all the bombs and get to the end of the level. Oh, sorry, there's a third sound effect when you defuse a bomb or use your special powers. Now you got like magic you can use, which will basically clear the whole screen of enemies or inflict massive amount of damage against the end level bosses, which appear after roughly every two or three stages. There you go, set my dog to attack that guy there, nice. And I basically save up all my magic for the end level boss, or end stage boss. And I don't know if you can notice there, guys, but basically we've got some parallax scrolling on the go there. Oh yeah, just quickly, if you duck down, those guys with knives can't attack you. But yeah, guys, parallax scrolling on the go here, and it still moves pretty smoothly. Perhaps a little bit hard to make out, but trust me, it is happening. And definitely looks really nice in later levels. Now this stage is for some reason we're at an airport, and here's a first end level boss. I think this is actually on a plane. We don't get to see much of his attacks here. He fires those balls at us because I'm using my magic and pretty quickly dispatch him. But he's a nice big colourful sprite for sure. And the bosses have done reasonably well in the game, in this conversion. And here we come to a bonus stage after you defeat a boss. Basically, to shoot all the ninjas with your Death Stars. This gets quite tough later on, actually. Not sure where they're appearing from, because there's no doors in this temple. In the arcade version, it's like a proper temple with doors they jump out of. Anyway. And so we got rid of them all, and we get a bonus life. Hurrah! And onto the, I think it's a train yard stage actually, this is. And we jump on a train at some point. Now according, I think basically the backstory of this game is a terrorist group has basically planted loads of bombs in various locations. As we saw at the airport there, and I think they planted bombs on a train on this stage, and also all around the areas surrounding it. And basically we've got to, as I've already said, defuse all the bombs, and it ends up on a stage with a space shuttle launch that we've got to make sure goes ahead. So I don't know much more about the story, except that now you're playing the son of the original guy in Shinobi. I think in Shinobi, Shinobi the ninja was called Joe Masashi or something like that. And this time you're playing as Hayate, his son. And apparently the dog's name is Yamato. There you go. But in the actually in the instructions for the Amstrad version, it says you're playing as Joe, so that was wrong. And we're there we go, and the end of this level. Nice. I think there's roughly about 15 levels, including bosses as a level. And that's pretty much exactly as there was in the arcade version. So the levels are all present pretty much, as are nearly all the enemies. The only enemies that are missing are a couple of new bad guys, which is on the final level before the final boss battle. I think there's a flamethrower guy and another sort of strange ninja that appears. Otherwise, in the arcade game, pretty much the enemies you encounter stay the same. They're just sort of there's like little ninjas that leap about. They just basically change their colours and are perhaps a little bit more aggressive. Oh yeah, you're missing the crocodiles in the sewer level as well. Thank God, actually, because they were a pain in the arse in the arcade original. And the arcade original was absolutely rock hard. God, I got through so many credits on that. But the difficulty in this game, this conversion, is pretty spot on actually. Can be a few annoying deaths because enemies can gang up on you from either side. But thank God this isn't flip screen scrolling. It scrolls really nicely. Now those guys with the shields that sort of throw them out like boomerangs, they're supposed to deflect your Death Stars, but they don't in the Amstrad version, and I think they don't in the other 8-bit versions. And likewise, those guys, those little sort of jumpy ninjas, they can deflect your Death Stars with their sort of swords. So that's a bit of a change, and also when enemies get too close to you in the arcade original, you have a sword that comes out and swipes at them. That's also missing, sadly. But you know, we can't ask too much from a humble 8-bit conversion. Other changes are that the dog can't get hurt, and will hold on to the enemies for as long as, I think, indefinitely. Whereas if the dog is basically holding on to an enemy for too long in the arcade original, eventually it gets hurt and then just transforms into a little sort of harmless little puppy until you pick up your next bomb or globe. But that doesn't happen in the Amstrad version. Again, I think it would have been too much of an ask. We've already got plenty going on in the game already. And I think, oh yeah, there's weapon upgrades as well that are also missing. After a certain number of bombs you picked up in a level, you get double firepower. But I guess that will be pointless here because the double firepower means you can sort of kill enemies that are using deflecting shields or swords. It will go right through them and kill them. Oh, here's the next boss battle. This time we're fighting against a train. Shooting strange fireballs at us. This time we'll get to see a little bit more of the boss battle because I've run out of magic. And basically just keep firing away at this. There we go. That's the second boss defeated. Nice. On to stage 3. Oh, but first, of course, the bonus round. And these start getting a little bit tougher now. It's just a shame it's just lacking music. It feels quite, again, a kind of a strange atmosphere, you know, quite barren without music. I'm sure they could have added it in like as an 128k for 128k memory Amstrads, like a lot of the games at the time did, especially from Ocean and US Gold. This game fits entirely into 64k of memory, so they could have detected it and added a bit of music in the game. Would have been nice. The original Shinobi had music and all sorts, as well as, like, you know, large smooth scrolling levels, so I'm sure it would have been possible, and without sort of slowing the game down. These ninjas are a pain in the arse, so be very careful. But yeah, talking of like good arcade conversions without any music, the programmer of this game, what was his name? Dave Simmons, with graphics from Doug Townsley. The only other game I can find that did for the Amstrad was the Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles coin-op conversion, which is also equally excellent, plays as well as this, but has the same few sound effects you hear in this game and no music. And again, like this one, would have been a real classic if it had music. So obviously that programmer, Mr. Simmons, probably wasn't very good with his music. I don't know, but I should be having a look at Turtles coin-op conversion probably very shortly, in a few videos time, definitely. That's a really excellent conversion, as is this. I don't know if it's better than Shinobi. It certainly looks better than Shinobi. Whether it plays better, or, you know, just generally all round, because Shinobi had that wonderful music. It would be a hard call, but this game does kind of really suffer without the music. But gameplay is where it counts, and this has got it in abundance. This is still really good fun to play, and I really enjoyed making this long play actually. Been wanting to do it for a while, but apologies to Axelino, who also does Amstrad long plays. He did a long play of this I think about a year and a bit ago. So I just decided to wait before I did this a bit of time. Now you can use a technique where you can sort of bounce off the enemies if you need to, like so. you don't get killed by touching enemies, which is a nice touch, which is the same in the arcade version, so you can use that technique sometimes to get us some really tricky sections and not waste your magic. Obviously the dog's really useful as well. Just let him pounce on him there, wait for the fire to go from that guy chucking Molotovs, and then move in for the kill. Nice. And the dog works really well in this version. I had to say, when I heard there was a canine companion, I was imagining it being really badly done, and probably having lots of bugs. I mean, obviously the dog does occasionally disappear, like there, but if he's been off screen for too long, then he'll just appear again straight next to you. Bit of a workaround, really, but it works fine. He sometimes falls to his death and then just suddenly reappears again, but you know, otherwise it's all good. And it's a really useful gameplay mechanic. It can again, it can really get you out some really tough spots, and just adds a real great dimension to the game. The only other game I can think of where you have like a canine companion was Wild Street, which was also released in the GX4000 console, and the dog was actually wasn't a dog. It was a bloody panther or something. I mean, that was absolutely pathetically done. You can find a long play in my channel from a couple of years ago for that, if you want to have a look at Wild Streets, which was the easiest game of all time, and you'll see why in the video. The sewers level. As I mentioned, the one type of enemy missing in this conversion was the crocodiles, which would leap out the sewers at you. Thank God they're gone, because they were absolutely annoying. Little annoyance here is because we need to see where we're going to jump down, and we can't see what's below, so you need to sort of judge it. Like, you can see there's an outlet and a pipe there, so you'd assume there's something to jump down onto. So there you go. Don't see too much of the screen in there, but we've got quite a nice screen size actually. It's not too squashed. A lot of Amstrad games, to try and get them running smoothly and without lag, you know, we ended up having really small screen sizes, but this is good stuff. Now the other versions, Spectrum version is basically identical to this one. In fact, it pretty much exactly is, apart from being in 2 colours or 4 colours. Plays exactly the same speed, same layouts and stuff like that. I couldn't notice any difference apart from in the colour. And the colours are used fantastically here. It looks absolutely brilliant. I will say though, sometimes like the enemy, when enemies shoot at you, the bullets can tend to sort of blend in the background occasionally, which makes things a little bit unnecessarily tough. But I'd rather have nice colourful graphics and stuff like that. There you go. Another boss battle there. Well, I saved up my magic, so that's pretty easily dispatched with. Right, and I believe this is the last bonus round, and this gets really tough. I had to plan out and write down, where ninjas roughly appear, so I could get through that without having to replay it or something like that for you guys. Oh, you'll be able to see the parallax scrolling, perhaps more noticeable in this level, as you can see there, and it looks really nice. Bullets get a little bit tougher against that background though to see, as I mentioned. There you go, send the dog to attack. Nice. And I think the ninja sprite looks really good. The animation on him is really excellent actually. Just watch as he walks along the floor. quite a few frames of animation there actually. And he jumps and flies about the screen with the grace of like a ninja should have as well. And most importantly, the controls are really tight and responsive. There's no lag, you know, and you can control your jumps really easily. They've got the jump mechanism working really well, which is really important on this level. Some really tight jumps to do. And you can move while you jump. You know, if you're jumping up and right, you can move back left if you need to, like to adjust where you're going to land, like so. But check out that waterfall, guys. Doesn't that look fantastic? Well, I think it does anyway. And it's animated as well. I think they've done a fantastic job here. And even though it's from bloody US Gold, obviously these programmers, there must have been an independent team, because ImageWorks used them for the Turtles conversion, which wasn't from US Gold. So thankfully it's not the US Gold in-house team or bloody tier text. Thank God for that. I think this conversion needs more recognition on the Amstrad. I think they've done a fantastic job. Whether it's better than the Shinobi conversion, that's a tough one to call. As I already mentioned, I think Shinobi's possibly a little bit smoother on the scrolling front, but not by much. And Shinobi has music in game, and lots of little jingles and stuff like that. But this looks a heck of a lot better, and much better sprites in the backgrounds, and like nice little touches like that waterfall. So it'd be a tough one to call which one's better, but I'm sure I gave Shinobi 9 out of 10. I'm pretty much sure I did, and I'll give this game the same score. I would give Shadow Dancer a good 9 out of 10. I think it would have had a 9.5 out of 10 if it had music in game. Anyway, I think this is the final. I think this is possibly the final level. I think before the last boss encounter, and there is a bit of an ending, guys. There is an animated ending sequence. It's pretty simple, but it's worth watching. And nice the programmers put it in. Yeah, dog's really useful in this game, definitely. But yeah, 9 out of 10. I really like this a lot. I think this is one of the best arcade conversions on the Amstrad. I'm sure someone on the scene could basically hack the game and add in music for a 128K version. That would be really nice for someone to do and be able to play. I think the only other thing missing from the arcade original was there was like a little sort of map cutscenes before each level, showing you progressing. So these kind of like levels don't really kind of make much sense as to what you're doing and where you are. But again, perhaps would have made it an absolute nightmare loading from tape with all those extra bits. But 128K disc version with cutscenes and music would have been really nice. Hint, hint. Any budding programmers on the Amstrad scene want to do that? I would love you very much. Again, the bouncing off enemy technique there comes in really useful in tight spots. I mean, perhaps you might have wanted to use some of your magic there to just clear the screen. But trust me, guys, this last level is absolutely rock hard. And I've done this without losing a life, and it's really tough to do, guys. Trust me on that. Took a lot of practice, but I've been playing this game a lot over the years since I heard about it. Didn't have it at the time, as I said, just through emulation. But anyway, this is the final boss battle. bit of a cut down version of the boss from the original arcade. She initially sits in a little bubble shooting out little ninjas at you, and then turns into this character, and basically need to move in close to her, get her to swipe and move away quickly and then shoot her, and there we go, job done. That's the game complete. Here comes the ending. Yay, the space shuttle takes off nice and safely. All the bombs are defused. Not much of an ending, but at least there's something, and it's animated. And we get to see who the programmers are. Oh, programming team was called Images. There you go. I wonder what else they did. And then just back to the title screen. So, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and well worth buying or downloading this game for the Amstrad. Definitely good 9 out of 10. So, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Cheers. Bye.